This is part 2. I just was starting to upload that first part, so I got to do part 2 now. This is part 2 of a genealogy or a I still call it genealogy. I just erased it with a genealogy. Here's an interesting question. They literally destroyed the genealogy of the slaves. It's important. You either have a genealogy or you don't. You're either part of a story or you're not part of a story. That's it. That's just a random aphorism to throw in there. Are you part of a story? Story. Part or not part of a story? Part of a story or not part? You know, because some of these stories are stupid. Like, who gives a... I've never watched a FIFA game in my life. I never will watch a FIFA game in my life. I've watched like 1 or 2 football games in my life. I don't give a fuck. Care about fucking less. But then, you know, then I was like... But then again, that's where meaning comes from. Meaning comes from stories, right? So what was this about? This is only for the left, by the way. We're back to, this is only for the left. If you're on the right and you're listening to this, you're in a lot of trouble. You're going to hell probably. I mean, you probably don't even believe in this shit, but whatever. Let's see, genealogy, past, whatever. This was going to be about American Civil War. Not American Civil, American Revolutionary. Revolution, American. Then you have the Viet Cong. I was going to throw the Viet Cong in there. I was going to throw, was it Biden? Like 2022 Afghanistan? Was it 2022? Whatever. When they fucking, the Taliban just went whoop, whoop, and they just drove right through it. And I was comparing that, I'm also comparing that to Vietnam in the sense of like, Vietnam, they sort of just went whoop, whoop, you know, because they drove right through. The Vietnamese actually had some pretty decent weapons, and was it Avern or whatever, Arvern, I don't know, whatever the fuck they were. And then they just sort of got drove over. These guys got thrown over, and then I was gonna throw maybe Ukraine in here. I'm gonna throw Ukraine in here. I'll throw Ukraine in here. So it's about heart. We're gonna say heart. I don't know, maybe. Ukraine is not getting run over as of now. So what is this about? Oh, I forgot what this was about. Oh, fuck. I got lost. I apologize. So the first part was about genealogy of Christianity and how Christianity is created as a insurgent religion to fight Rome, where they have a constant enemy of the big other. The big other is Rome in the beginning, and then it becomes Satan, and then it always needs an enemy. Christianity always needs a corrupting force. It always needs, like, everything would be perfect except for the corrupting force, which was Rome. Then it becomes Satan. Then it becomes, you know, you know, they can change the corrupting forces as they need. It's a very dynamic religion. Dynamic religion. Dynamic. What else we got here? What is this about? I forgot what this was about. Oh man, I got distracted by those Vietnam and Afghanistan, and they just got rolled over. They technically had, so are humans rational? That's where this is coming into. This is about rationality. We're going to divide this off. Rationality. So the question becomes, going back to the Rome-Israel example, you'd have to watch the other video to understand this. The Romans would offer the Israelis, the Christians or the Israelis. I'm calling Christianity I think Christianity is just like a version. It's the militant wing of Judaism. That's my opinion, but I don't give a shit. I'm not here to argue that. But for the sake of this, in the beginning it was a lot more Jewish. Now it's not as Jewish. It's more multicultural. Christianity is very multicultural. But in the beginning it was all Jews. And they were fighting Rome. And they were like trying to subvert everything. They're like, hey, if you want to be a Roman and be a Christian, you can be a Christian. Because they were trying to like get in there and they were trying to like subvert, you know, it's a way of whatever. So they had to be very careful. Did the Romans buy off your buddy? That's what they had to worry about. So they had the communalism. They had the, you know, they had to worry about, hey, did the Romans buy off your, you know, because you'll all get killed you'll all get killed if if the Roman bought off your friend and your friend rats you out to the Romans, you all get, you know, so there's an I wouldn't call it irrational, I would call it motives. if someone can get some chocolate, did they get the chocolate from Rome or the devil? Motives of where the chocolate comes from. Motives of chocolate. Of chocolate. So did it come from Rome / devil? Or did it come from, you can probably make chocolate yourself, There's probably ways of getting chocolate besides Rome. So where is this going? I forget where this shit's going. I always forget where this is going. Motivations of chocolate. So motivations are very important in this. So what appears to be a rationality may or may not be motivations. But this is where we get back to this is where I got distracted by these two analogies specifically. Rationally, those two countries should have fought more. Rationally, these two countries should have. Afghanistan just got rolled over. They had better weapons. They had a bunch of other shit. They had no heart. No heart. Their motivations were not. They were corrupt motivations. Corrupt motivations. Or no heart would be another way of saying it. So where is this going? I don't know where this is going. I forgot where this is going. Yeah, because I hear the right wing is now pro-Ukraine because they say Ukraine has heart. And then the American Revolution, I was going to make a joke about George Washington having red hair and being a work of the devil, but that's not really part of this. I'm going to try and be more serious on this one. Corrupt, no heart. I don't remember where I was going with this. So it's genealogy, story, past, no past. American Revolution, dynamic, rationality. Is it Roman incentive? So you have to understand, is this as an incentive system, are you being incentivized by Rome or are you being incentivized organically? And that might be the differentiating case there. Yeah, I guess that's the end of this. I don't think there's any thesis here. Any other? Yeah, if you can get people to not have stories. You want to destroy people's stories, and then they live in like a nihilistic existence. You can destroy someone's story. You can turn them into a nihilistic existence. So, for example, they destroyed the slaves' past lives. They're just like, oh, they did that. That's a trick you can do. It's it's a good trick. It's kind of fun. And then, also in the current warfare they're doing with like Ukraine and Russia, my theory is they're gonna start launching like remember when Assad was dropping buckets or bombs on like fucking blocks? The Russians are gonna start doing that eventually. If this war goes on 3-4 years, they're gonna start destroying city blocks with like some sort of way. They'll figure out like a rocket, like a V2, and they'll launch a V2 with a guidance on it, and they'll take out a city. They'll just target random city blocks because that'll take away you people's stories. Because when stories are destroyed, people become nihilistic. And in war, one of the goals is to turn people very nihilistic. And one way of doing that is just destroy random city blocks. It's a way of destroying stories. So that's just a macro thesis I have. If this war goes on for a long time, they're going to start killing the citizens on purpose. Is my theory. I don't know how long that'll be. 3, 4, 5 years maybe. Because I'm imagining a V2 which has like a 2,000-pound bomb just landing in a Ukrainian city and just going boom and blowing up a whole city block, and that'll increase the nihilism in Ukraine, which will destroy their story, which will it's just an interesting. So destroy stories. Remember, if you want to go to war with someone, you destroy their stories. It's just a trick. Because stories are the thing that hold reality together. The human brain is designed to understand stories. It's not designed to be rational. It's actually a story-based memory system. So I guess that's my thesis. So I apologize so much. I forgot. This is the other part I want to talk about. Stories. So I'm gonna add this to that other one. Stories. So the main goal you're going to find out is that you want to get people who really believe in the stories. People who really believe in the stories are the most valuable people in the entire universe, because most of you people are just dogs and you don't really believe stories. You just like your dog food. But so you have like in Islam you had the madrasas. I think a lot of these rednecks went over to fucking Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're like, hey, we're gonna bring that shit back over. But then again, I don't know, maybe that's true. Maybe you might get like more Christian schools in America, because you can get like, because those Taliban fighters are pretty motherfucking tough. Very Viet Cong, so you're gonna get some more Christian schools in America. You know, because if you wanna, because otherwise you can have Vietnam at the end had some pretty good weapons, and Afghanistan had some pretty good weapons in the hands of those people, and they just got walked over because they had no heart. So they're gonna try and create heart. And heart comes from madrasas. It can come from Christian schools. You lefties are going to have to create your own like hardcore brain. I'm going to call it brainwashing. Brainwashing of stories. Brainwash stories. Because that's what all these things do. They just brainwash stories. Madrasas brainwash stories. Christian schools. You know, you got to. You know, all people are pretty much brainwashed. And you got to get those nut jobs, you know, so that because that's how you're gonna win. Otherwise, you'll just get rolled over. You'll get like a Vietnam when they just rolled over, and then you'll get when Afghanistan just rolled over. So you almost have to create like a nut job class, and you know, because the stories, even though they are ridiculously stupid, most of these stories are fucking retarded. I mean, communism is a retarded story. Capitalism is a retarded story. Christianity is a retarded story. Islam is a retarded story. But you know, you've got to have some sort of person who retardedly believes in the story, because they are the ones that make it. You know, like a George Washington, probably a retard because he really believed in the story. You know, or who was the one fucking retard? Viet Cong, Chiang Kai-shek, not Chiang Kai-shek. Whatever. Those people have to be like really retarded to really keep the story going. Because, you know, keeping any story, you know, how can you keep any story from not being destroyed? They're all so flimsy. I've never seen a story in this entire world that didn't look like toilet paper, wet toilet paper in the wind. But whatever. So you got to have like, you're going to have to create a group of like highly brainwashed people. The left, the right, the communists, the Muslims, the Hindus. You're all going to have to like brainwash the living shit out of, you know, because you got to have people. Otherwise, they'll just get like walked over by the fucking, you know. So that's my prediction for the future too. You're going to see a lot more brainwashing, especially with AI. Think about this: you can put a kid in front of a computer and they can literally brainwash those little motherfuckers. Probably. think of like a madrasa with like an AI, or like a Christian school with an AI computer, or like a fucking, you know, like a little fucking communist computer. What's the correct answer for dialectical materials? This is going to be awesome, because otherwise, if you don't create these, you're just going to create people without stories who are nihilistic, and you'll just get walked over like Vietnam or Afghanistan. How do they teach the ending of Vietnam? It just got walked over, right? It was very similar to the ending of. So I'm gonna have to add this to that other video. So let's see. That's the ending of this story.